Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Vaginal Healing Podcast. My name is Takira, and I'm a dietitian who helps women to heal from chronic vaginal infections. I've healed myself from yeast infections, BV, mycoplasma, and ureaplasma. Both times in which I healed myself, the infections lasted 2 years. Doctors were not helping me, medications were not working, so I had to heal myself naturally. And so now I teach women how to do the same using nutrition, subconscious reprogramming, and nervous system regulation. Something I want to talk more about is more identity work and nervous system regulation because while nutrition plays a very important role when it comes to healing the vaginal microbiome, your identity and your nervous system play just as an equal role. I don't talk about it as much just because most people naturally gravitate towards nutrition, but your identity plays a major role in chronic vaginal infections. And I want to talk more about that on this podcast. So before we get started, make sure that you are following the podcast. Make sure to leave a rate and a review if this podcast helps you in any way. If you have experienced any wins in your life from vaginal infections from this podcast, definitely please leave a review and share this with anyone who you think may benefit from listening to this podcast as well. So, when it comes to identity, first I'm going to explain what your identity is. So, your identity, by the definition on Google, is the set of core beliefs, stories, and self concepts you hold about who you are. In health, identity dictates how you perceive your body's capabilities, which is really important. If your identity is someone who is always fighting off infections or someone whose body is sensitive and broken, your nervous system stays in a state of hypervigilance or fight or flight mode, anticipating the next flare up. So, your identity, who you are at your core, is a set of core beliefs. So, who you believe you are, stories you believe about yourself, and self concepts like your self esteem, your self worth, all those things you hold about who you are. And majority of Americans and people in general have a poor identity around their health because of all the fear mongering we experience in commercials and in the media and from the diet industry and supplement industry. And so majority of people don't have the best health identity. Like we assume we're going to get sick if someone next to us is sick, or we just have poor beliefs around our health. And when women are dealing with chronic vaginal infections, they either had a poor health identity to begin with, or they were never really thinking about it and they kind of developed a poor health identity after, or a poorer health identity after. But it's honestly a combination of both. And you'll see why later on in the episode. But if your identity, so the second definition, like the second sentence says, in health, identity dictates how you perceive your body's capabilities. So if your identity believes that your body is strong enough to fight off anything, that is capable of handling anything, then you would not be dealing with chronic vaginal infections. But if your identity is a little bit poorer or weaker in terms of health, then you do not perceive your body's capabilities in a positive light. And so then you are more prone to dealing with chronic vaginal infections. And on my threads, I have a post that talks about how women are unintentionally manifesting their chronic vaginal infections, which is true for anyone who's dealing with chronic vaginal infections. And it's not to put the blame on women in any way. It's to teach you how the mind works and how your mind controls your body. And someone commented and was like, ooh, like, don't tell women that they're manifesting the chronic vaginal infections. Yikes. And that in itself is showing that person's level of consciousness, which is fine. But with my audience, I'm teaching you guys how to raise your level of consciousness in terms of how you can control your life and your body with the power of your mind and the beliefs and the thoughts you hold, and also the words that you speak over your life every single day. So it's not like a clickbait thing to say, oh, like, let me say this so that they can see and then like put the blame on them. It's not a self blame thing at all. It's literally something to teach you guys. So if your identity is someone who is always fighting off infections and like that is your core identity, or someone whose body is sensitive and broken, then your identity impacts your nervous system, because now your nervous system is staying in a state of hypervigilance and it's staying in fight or flight mode because you're always anticipating the next flare up. So I always tell clients, if you're constantly always checking for flare ups, you're checking for discharge, you're always checking, you're always smell checking, you're always worried about getting an infection after sex or after going in the pool, or You're worried that there's an odor while you're having sex. Like all these things, you're keeping yourself stuck in a loop and a cycle of chronic vaginal infection. So I want to talk about the power of I am. So whatever you say after the words I am is you directly telling your subconscious mind who you are. So I am is the ultimate command statement to your subconscious mind. I'm going to talk about the subconscious mind after and explain how this plays a role. Sorry, but whatever follows I am is basically the baseline reality of what your mind tries to prove true. So like I am Dakira, that's me. I am Dakira. And so if you always say negative things about yourself, like I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm lazy, I'm dumb, your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's true or what's false, or what's positive or what's negative. So it doesn't matter if it's true or false. All it knows is what you're saying. So your subconscious mind takes things very literally. So even if you're saying something that's false, like I'm so stupid, but you say it over and over and over again, your subconscious mind picks up on things and forms new neural pathways, which is another word for thoughts and beliefs, through repetition and through emotion. So if you are constantly repeating the same story over and over again, your subconscious mind forms that into a new thought and belief, and then it plays out into your reality. When it comes to what's positive or what's negative, your subconscious mind also does not know the difference between what's positive or what's negative, because in reality, if you think about it, and this is also a fact, everything is neutral until you assign a meaning to it. So everything is neutral until you assign either a positive meaning to it or a negative meaning to it. So for example, let's say you have a neighbor and on this particular day, your neighbor did not say hi to you. Some people would view it in a positive way and be like, oh, like maybe they just didn't see me. Or some people would be like, oh, like, wow, they're being rude, and view it in a negative way. But at the end of the day, everything has a neutral meaning. Only you assign to it what's positive or if it's negative. So with that being said, your subconscious mind is very literal. So it only takes on things that is repeated or something that is charged with emotion. Like it takes one traumatic event to change your life forever and to form a new neural pathway really quickly, which is a new belief, or it takes repetition of the same thoughts over and over again to form a new neural pathway. So a negative loop that a lot of women deal with when it comes to chronic vaginal infections. And there's thousands because everyone's different. But for example, I am prone to vaginal infections, or I always get an infection after sex, or I always have an infection every month before, after my period, or the gym always makes me flare up. Like all of these things, you would know if listening to this, if you have constantly repeated things like that over and over and over again, you are keeping yourself stuck in a cycle of chronic vaginal infections. So the shift to the I am with these negative statements is to change them to I am with positive statements. So one of the activities I did in my 5-week vaginal microbiome restoration intensive course, which you can purchase down below. That's my 5-week live course, where it's basically a version of my 30-day Vaj Reset ebook, but it's taught live, and it comes with activity and homework, and it basically teaches you how to heal chronic vaginal infections, but through a live course. One of the activities we did, which you can also do after this podcast episode, is on one piece of paper, you want to write down all of the beliefs you currently hold around your health and around your vagina, and don't hold back. Like whatever comes up, write it down. Like maybe you believe it's impossible to heal. Maybe you feel like you're a burden to others because of your infections. Maybe you feel like you're unworthy or you're less than because you're dealing with chronic vaginal infections. Maybe you feel like you're just disgusting and that you're ashamed. Whatever you feel that's negative around your vagina and around your health, you write them down on one piece of paper. And whatever you write down, once you read back and look at it, this is literally showing you the thoughts and beliefs that you're holding in your subconscious mind that is keeping you stuck in the cycle of chronic vaginal infections. And sometimes we don't even write down all of the beliefs that come up. Like there could be way more that you didn't even think of that can be running the program in your subconscious mind. On the second piece of paper, we then write down the opposite statement. So, for example, if you believe you are unworthy of love because you have chronic vaginal infections, the next statement would be, I am worthy of love regardless of anything going on in my life. And so what we do is on the old piece of paper, once we rewire those to positive thoughts on a new piece of paper, we basically throw out the old piece of paper, and that we state in this moment, we decide this is no longer our reality. We either burn it in a safe way, crush it up, rip it up, whatever. And the new paper that has the new positive statements, that is your new reality. And you have to train your brain to believe these new thoughts and beliefs through repetition and empowering them with emotion. Or you can do either one. You can do repetition or emotion or both. It doesn't matter. But that's basically what we do to help rewire the new thoughts and beliefs. And so that's how you can create the identity shift. On average, for the human being, it takes around 21 days to form a new neural pathway or to form a new habit or new thought and belief. It can happen a lot faster depending on your confidence. But for most people, it's 21 days. But again, it can happen faster. So keep that in mind. So with these kind of routines of trying to form new thoughts and beliefs, you want to try them. I tell all my clients 30 to 90 days to really rewire and to really create new neural pathways. To see really, really good effects on your health, but it can be 21 days or less. So keep that in mind. So now when it comes to the subconscious mind, which is the most important thing to know. So what is the subconscious mind? So your subconscious mind, you have the conscious mind and you have the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is what processes up to like 4 to 5 thoughts at a time. It's what tells you, okay, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But your subconscious mind holds and processes up to 11 million thoughts at a time. So 4 to 5 thoughts at a time versus 11 million is a huge difference. And your subconscious mind was formed between the ages of 0 to 7. So from the time you were in the third trimester of your mother's womb up until the age of 7 is when your subconscious mind formed. So when you were in the third trimester of your mother's womb, you were picking up on all of her subconscious thoughts and beliefs. That's why when you are pregnant, it's really important that you are conscious of what you are saying, what you are listening to, and what people are saying around you and your baby, because your baby can be picking up on those beliefs. And then as your baby is growing up between the ages of 0 to 7, even if you don't feel like your baby knows what is being said and you're like saying things on a baby, like maybe you and your partner are arguing and maybe you're listening to negative things around your baby is picking up on these subconscious thoughts and beliefs. Because between the ages of 0 to 7, your mind is in a state called theta, which is basically a malleable state in which the brain can hear things and believe it to be true. So in this state, the brain is like Play-Doh. It's really gullible, which is why kids are very gullible, and also why kids are easy to be taught. It's easy for kids to learn new languages. It's easy for kids to learn basic skills and all these things because their mind during this time is in a very highly absorbable state. It's like a sponge. So you have to be mindful of what you say around kids, what your kids are surrounded by, what they're watching, what they're hearing, everything, because it's programming their subconscious mind. After the age of 7, when the subconscious mind is more solidified and it's no longer consistently in theta state, then their subconscious mind is basically formed, and now they're going throughout their life with their subconscious thoughts and beliefs that are now performing confirmation bias. So your subconscious controls roughly 95% of your mental and physiological processing, and your subconscious mind is basically controlling 90 to 95% of your whole entire life. So it includes like your stress response, your immune function, your blood flow, muscle tension in the pelvic floor, and it doesn't know the difference between imagination versus reality. It simply executes whatever program is running. So think of your subconscious mind as AI or as an algorithm. The AI or the algorithm only knows what you put into it and what you're constantly feeding it over and over and over again. But if you press not interested on a video, or you don't put energy or focus into something, the algorithm eventually changes to whatever you're predominantly focusing on, and your AI robot is only gonna give you answers based on what you're mainly focused on. So your brain, your subconscious mind is the same way. You're constantly programming it with stuff. That's why me personally, I do not watch the news. I don't listen to anything negative. I don't like to complain. I don't like to gossip. I don't like to feed my mind anything negative as much as possible, because it's constantly programming my mind and I want to remain as positive as possible. So with that, your brain doesn't know the difference between what's imagined, so what you're visualizing, versus what's reality. So when you're arguing with somebody in your head, or you're thinking about worst case scenario, your brain thinks that this is real. That's why when you think of these things, your heart starts racing, you start getting anxiety, and you feel like it's real. So you have to be very cautious of the mental imagery you're putting in your head, what you're watching, what you're visualizing, what you're imagining, because your brain thinks that that's reality, and it can respond by putting you in fight or flight mode. And so again, it simply executes whatever program is running in your subconscious mind. So the reason why it does this is because your subconscious mind has something called the reticular activating system. So the acronym is RAS, the RAS system, and the RAS is the brain's filtering system. So it filters out millions of pieces of data daily to focus only on what you believe is important. So that's where the saying comes, what you focus on grows, because whatever you focus on is what you're going to continue seeing in your reality. So when you tell yourself, I want a red car, or I want a Tesla, or I want a cat, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing those things more often in your reality because now your brain is more focused on it. A good example I give to all of my clients is if, like, let's say you and your friend, you know someone named Sally. You think Sally is a bitch. Your friend doesn't think Sally is a bitch. Your brain is always going to focus on why Sally is a bitch, and your brain is always going to see different ways in which Sally is a bitch. But because your friend does not think Sally is a bitch, your friend is only going to see the positive in Sally. That's how powerful your mind is. So if your reticular activating system is programmed around hypervigilance or fear of your symptoms, it hyperfixates on every minor bodily sensation. It keeps your pelvic region in a tight stress state. So this is when you can end up dealing with pelvic floor issues like vaginismus and stuff like that. And it keeps you in fight or flight mode or in chronic survival mode in a stress state, which can keep you stuck in a cycle of chronic vaginal infections because your cortisol and your blood sugar are linked. So when one is high, the other is high. But when you reprogram your subconscious mind, your reticular activating system starts filtering out for what you're focusing on and starts focusing on safety, ease, and subtle signs of healing and trust in your body's natural resilience. So your mind is really powerful. Whatever you focus on grows. If you're constantly focused on chronic vaginal infections, trying to fix it, thinking that you're broken, thinking that you're going to get an infection after sex, whatever beliefs that you have that are negative around your vaginal health and around your health identity, your subconscious mind is going to focus on that, and it's going to prove to you why that is your reality, because the RAS system is designed to perform confirmation bias. So its job is to prove all of your thoughts and beliefs to be true. So when you have all of these beliefs that are negative around your health and around your vagina, your subconscious mind, because it doesn't know the difference between what's real or what's false, or what's negative or what's positive, all it knows is what you tell it, the repetition and emotion. And the emotion that we're using is a charged, heavy negative emotion, which can form new neural pathways really fast. Your mind's like, oh, we always get an infection after sex. Okay, so that is the program that we're running. So every time I have sex, I'm gonna have a yeast infection. And so now your mind is telling your body to give you a yeast infection after you have sex because you have programmed your mind to believe that every time you have sex, you're going to get a yeast infection. That is how the subconscious mind works. If you do not believe me, look it up. This is neuroscience. It's called neuroplasticity. And a really popular doctor who talks about this is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Your normal regular doctor is not going to know about this. So do not ask them because they're going to look at you like you're crazy unless they're a neuroscientist and they know. But Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this because he helps people to heal from chronic health conditions using neuroplasticity, and he actually reversed his paralysis through neuroplasticity. So when you can use subconscious reprogramming, you can change these subconscious thoughts and beliefs to positive ones so that your reticular activating system can perform confirmation bias on these positive beliefs. And so the two ways to reprogram your subconscious thoughts and beliefs is through emotion and repetition. So you can use one or the other. If you use both, even better for faster results. So this is the exact formula for neuroplasticity because logic alone will rarely change a deeply rooted belief, especially one that's tied to your nervous system and your identity. So repetition builds new neural pathways. So when you were in school studying for an exam, you had to study for it over and over and over again until you memorize it, right? Okay, so if you're dealing with chronic vaginal infections and you have really deeply rooted beliefs around your vagina in a negative way, you can't just expect to say something once, usually, and see results. You have to repeat the new positive thoughts and beliefs over and over and over again until your brain believes it to be true. Once your subconscious mind accepts it as your truth, now your reticular activating system is going to do its job to prove it to you to be true, and it's going to command your body to heal. So repetition builds new neural pathways. And so whenever any doubts, worries, fears, or negative things pop up around your vagina, you have to drown out the negative thoughts with positive thoughts by robotically affirming a new thought. The second thing, emotion. Emotion acts as the glue that seals the new wiring. So, feeling the emotional relief and safety of a healthy body, even before you feel, see, or experience the physical changes appear, tells the nervous system that safety is occurring now. So, right now, in this moment, if you take the next 20 seconds to really imagine and feel what it would be like to be completely healed from vaginal infections and feel a sense of relief in your body, that emotional relief that you feel in the next 20 seconds, that you can allow yourself, you can tap into that feeling at any time. So it doesn't matter what you're seeing or feeling or experiencing in this current reality right now. If you take a few seconds to really imagine and feel yourself being healed, feel yourself like being back to normal and feel that relief. If you can practice feeling that more and more, you can train your brain to believe in a neural pathway in which you are healed. And so when you can practice feeling the emotional relief and the safety of a healthy body, even before you see proof in your reality, even before you see physical changes appear in your reality, even before you start to see, experience, or feel vaginal relief, this practice tells your nervous system that you're safe and that it is safe to heal. And so, with subconscious reprogramming, you have to practice this on a daily basis until you are healed, because you have to really reprogram those old thoughts and beliefs. And so, the two ways to do this is through repetition and also through emotion. So I'm going to explain some other things such as the law of assumption, the law of expectation. I'm going to go over some subconscious reprogramming methods, and how you can also get started on your own routine. So, with the law of assumption, so we have universal laws that are working regardless of whether we believe in them or not. So, for example, we have the law of gravity, which we know if we drop a pen, the pen's going to fall to the ground. It's not going to levitate and float up in the air. And one of the laws that we are utilizing every single day without realizing is the law of assumption and law of expectation, which the law of assumption basically states whatever you assume is true becomes your experience reality. The law of expectation is whatever you expect to happen will basically happen. So in vaginal health, this applies to you by the means of stepping out of hoping or checking for symptoms and assuming the state of complete balance in which you are completely healthy, regardless of what you're seeing. So if you want to learn more about law of assumption, I would definitely look on YouTube and on TikTok for law of assumption creators, because there's thousands, and choose whoever resonates with you. But basically, whatever you assume is to be true, right? So if you assume that you're going to get an infection at this time, or you assume that you're always going to be dealing with this, or you assume that nothing is working for you, or you assume that no matter what you do, it's always going to come back, all of these assumptions are playing out in your reality. And if you want to know whether this is working for you or not, all you have to do is look at your reality. Look at what you're assuming. Is what you're assuming matching up with your reality? Usually, yes. And that in itself is proof to show you that the law of assumption and law of expectation are working not in your favor because you're dealing with chronic vaginal infections. Same thing with law of expectation for people who expect to have an infection every time they have sex, or whenever they go to the gym, or whenever they do certain things. So with the law of assumption, it basically means you want to use it in your favor by assuming a new reality regardless of what you're seeing in this current reality. So even in this current reality right now, if you're dealing with chronic vaginal infections, you're still having symptoms, you're still experiencing and dealing with it. No matter what you're seeing in this reality, you want to choose a new assumption and stick to that new story, stick to that new assumption until it shows up in your reality as your truth. Because the more you can focus on the new story, the old story dies out. So that those old neural pathways that kept you stuck in that cycle because they were attached and addicted to the old story, they fade out. The more you override them, the more you saturate them with the newer thoughts, the newer beliefs. And so the law of assumption, you basically continue to assume your new story, no matter what you're seeing or experiencing, until it's your reality. So, like, for example, with chronic vaginal infections, even if you're doing it right now, no matter what, whenever any doubts, worries, fears, assumptions come up, you say, nope, this is the old story. I'm now someone who is completely healed. And you repeat this over and over and over again until you train your brain into a new neural pathway, in which it believes that you no longer are someone who deals with these infections. It also creates a somatic shift because instead of living in fear of the next symptom, you start to act, feel, and embody the state of someone who trusts their body completely and someone who also is no longer dealing with chronic vaginal infections. So the more you reprogram your subconscious mind, the more naturally you start to act, feel, and embody the state of someone who no longer deals with chronic vaginal infections, and your intuitive thoughts start to become different. So it starts to tell you what to eat, what to not eat, what to do, what to not do. It starts to tell you how to heal your body because when you shift the state that you're in, your thoughts will align with that state. So if you're in a fearful state, you're always going to have fearful thoughts and beliefs. But if you're in a more positive, hopeful state, you're going to have more positive, hopeful thoughts and beliefs. So it changes the kind of beliefs you have and the responses you have to thoughts and beliefs. And you'll notice the shift internally before you see it externally for the most part. So now to get into subconscious reprogramming methods, there's a lot of different ones. I'm going to go over just 6 of the main ones, are the most popular ones. Number one, we have subliminals, which on my YouTube channel, I do have vaginal healing subliminals. Subliminals are audio tracks that contain positive affirmations layered into them under a relaxing sound or music or with a relaxing frequency that bypasses the conscious mind and only your subconscious mind can hear it. So it bypasses the critical, skeptical, ego conscious mind that will tell you like, oh, that's not true, that's fake. Because your ego mind, your conscious mind would tell you like, oh, that's not true. Like if you're affirming that you're healthy, your mind can easily be like, no, you're not. But your subconscious mind only accepts what you tell it as truth and it doesn't fight you on it. It just takes whatever you say through repetition and paired with emotion. So with subliminals, your conscious mind cannot hear them. So consciously you can hear them. But the subliminal messaging, your subconscious mind can hear it. So with subliminals, it repeats positive affirmations over and over again where only your subconscious mind can hear it. So it can help to reprogram neural thoughts, neural pathways such as thoughts and beliefs to then saturate your brain with the positive ones and decrease the negative ones and let the negative ones die out. So on my YouTube channel, I do have a lot of vaginal healing subliminals that you can listen to with headphones on. The description tells you how to listen to them. And so it can help to reduce nervous system stress. It can change your neural pathways for you on autopilot that you're having to do the mental diet work. And it can just help you overall to feel better and to help your body heal. The second thing, you have affirmations. So affirmations are basically positive statements that you say to yourself. So there's different ways to incorporate affirmations. When it comes to reprogramming your subconscious mind, you want to do robotic affirmations or focused affirmations. Robotic affirmations are basically repeating 1 to 3 short affirmation statements over and over and over again, regardless of how you're feeling or regardless of what you're seeing, because what this does is that it programs your mind with a large volume of affirmations to saturate and to overpower the old thoughts and beliefs that are keeping you stuck in the reality of chronic vaginal infection. So robotic affirmations uses sheer volume and repetition to overwrite negative mental chatter. So there are thousands of people on YouTube who use robotic affirmations to not only manifest things like money, love, relationships, new houses, new cars, all these things, but they use it to heal their bodies. So you can look up how to robotically affirm on YouTube, get different ideas, and try it out for yourself. And with anything, always try it out for at least 30 days, 21 to 30 days, or even longer than that, or try it out until you see results. But don't try it for like a few days and be like, oh, it didn't work for me. Try it out until you see a result. Well, not until you see a result, until you feel an internal shift. So when you start feeling like you're thinking different, you're acting different, that's a good sign to show that it's working. And after that point, keep going with it. To help really solidify the new thoughts and beliefs in your mind. So like just keep robotically affirming. There's different ways to do it. You can just robotically affirm all day in your head. You can do 1 10-minute session a day. You can do 3 10-minute sessions a day. There's many different ways to do it, but that's basically how that works. And robotic affirming works really well because it doesn't matter. You don't have to use emotion with robotic affirming. And nothing matters. All you have to do is literally just robotically affirm a statement, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what you're seeing, no matter what you're experiencing, because it doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter. You just robotically affirm and it just helps to saturate your brain with new thoughts and beliefs. So it's a great way to do things without focusing on emotion. You also have focus affirming where you sit down in one spot and you affirm for like a set amount of time, like 10 minutes. But with erotic affirming, you can do it all throughout the day whenever you want, like as you're showering, as you're walking, as you're, I don't know, cleaning, whatever. But focus affirming is when you're sitting in one place for like 10 minutes and you're just affirming over and over again while you're concentrating on your affirmations. So with focus affirming, you can focus more on feeling gratitude, feeling relief. You can do it while you're meditating and just affirm for 10 minutes. But there's many different ways to incorporate these techniques. You do whatever works the best for you. Next, we have, actually, no, I might have mentioned that. Sorry. Next, you have meditations. So meditations help to slow down your brain waves to put you in a theta state, which is the state in which your subconscious mind accepts all your beliefs to be true. So we are naturally in a theta state whenever we are relaxed, or first thing in the morning as we're waking up and as we're falling asleep. Those two times are the best times to follow a subconscious reprogramming routine, because that's when your brain's in a theta state. So as soon as you wake up, and as you fall asleep, you want to incorporate a subconscious reprogramming routine to help reprogram your mind in the easiest way. So meditations can help to induce that. And so somatic and pelvic centered meditations bring awareness back into the body, and you can deep breathe to downregulate your nervous system and to release your tension in your pelvic floor and to improve blood circulation to your vaginal tissues. But because meditation induces a theta state, you can also use it to visualize you having a healthy vagina, to affirm for a healthy vagina, or to use a subliminal to reprogram your mind in this state. So on my YouTube channel, I do have vaginal healing meditations that you can incorporate 1 to 2 times a day. You also have visualization. So visualization is a mental rehearsal of your ideal state. So whatever we imagine is what becomes our reality. And remember what I said earlier in the episode, your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination versus reality. So whatever you imagine consistently, your brain believes it to be true. So with visualization, it's usually a daily practice, and all it takes, proven by science, is 17 seconds of a really powerfully emotionally charged visualization to really see results really fast. So if you want to incorporate visualization, if you're a daydreamer, this would be perfect for you. I'd recommend incorporating visualization every day for at least 17 seconds. And I would also incorporate it at least once a day, but the more the better. So if you want to do it once in the morning, once at night, you can. But you can incorporate it as many times as you want throughout the day. And the more you can really hone in on visualizing it, whether you choose to feel emotion or not is up to you. You can visualize repeatedly just to reprogram your new neural thoughts and beliefs, or you can visualize paired with emotion to really feel the end state of being someone who has a healthy vagina. So visualization, I would do it every single day. I do it every morning and every night for my dream life. So you would visualize healthy blood flow, a thriving microbiome, relaxed pelvic muscles. You would basically visualize yourself living your life without vaginal infection. So if that would include you having sex with your partner, or seeing a healthy vaginal microbiome test, or looking at your underwear and seeing no discharge, or visualize yourself walking without itching, whatever would imply that you no longer have chronic vaginal infections, I would visualize that every single day for at least 17 seconds once a day. But the more, the better, because the brain fires the same neural circuits during vivid visualization as it does during physical activity. So the more you can mentally rehearse your end state, which is your dream reality, which you don't have chronic vaginal infections, the faster it becomes your reality. So on my YouTube channel, I do also have vaginal healing visualizations as well that you can do every single day. But these are all different techniques that you can do every day to reprogram your mind. So I would choose either one of them, a few of them, or all of them, and I would stick to a daily routine of doing them until you feel the internal shift. So you don't stop doing it until you feel the internal shift. You don't give up on it because you're not seeing anything. You have to keep doing it until you feel the internal shift, and after that point, you keep going. But you do not give up on these things because you claim it's not working. These things have no choice but to work when you're consistent, because it's backed by science, and because this is literally how you can heal your body naturally through the mind-body healing connection. So yeah, visualization. You also have creating a vision board. So a vision board is a visual anchor that keeps your reticular activating system focused on the outcome. So you can create a vision board focused on your health. And how vision boards work is similar to a billboard. So we know billboards work because marketing companies use them to advertise things. So a vision board is the same thing. But with a vision board, you don't make it once and you just don't look at it again. You have to look at it intentionally every single day for a few minutes and really affirm your new reality. So The average human being checks their phone at least 200 times a day. So if you make your vision board on your lock screen, you're looking at your vision board unconsciously over 200 times a day. And so you were giving your brain, you're reprogramming your brain 200 times a day by simply having your vision board on your lock screen. So you can create a vaginal health focused vision board. And you can just have it as your lock screen, or you can stare at it while you affirm for 10 minutes, or you can stare at it while you listen to your subliminals. You can literally do it however you want to do it. But I do have a Pinterest in which I do post like vaginal info and vaginal inspo and stuff like that. So you can get some of my pictures on my Pinterest, and you can add it to your own vision board. And you can create a vision board if you're more of a visual person. But the key with a vision board is to look at it every single day, not just you making it once and then forgetting about it, to really help with saturating your mind and reprogramming your mind. The last thing I'm going to go over is a sleep tape. So one of the free things I offer is an 8-hour vaginal healing sleep tape, and I have 2 for free on my YouTube channel. So when you're sleeping, your mind is completely unconscious and your subconscious mind is wide open, which means that it's like basically an open invitation to hearing a whole bunch of things and reprogramming your subconscious mind with it. That's why I tell people when you're sleeping, don't fall asleep to listening to negative things, negative music, crime shows, and all those things, because those things are reprogramming your mind with fear, negativity, and low frequency emotions as you're sleeping. You want to either listen to nothing while you're sleeping or listen to positive things while you're sleeping to reprogram your subconscious mind. So my 8-hour vaginal healing sleep tape is a subliminal that also has affirmations on top of it to reprogram your mind while you're sleeping with affirmations to help your body heal or to form new thoughts and beliefs, and to saturate your mind with positive affirmations around vaginal health. So listening to health affirmation sleep tapes as you are falling asleep, while you're napping, or as you're sleeping, works, because this is when your brain moves into alpha and theta brainwave states. And so this is the exact window where your subconscious mind is wide open and highly impressionable, where you can really feed it new thoughts and beliefs. And it's an effortless way of reprogramming your subconscious mind because you're sleeping. So all you have to do is have it on a really low volume. You sleep, you let the affirmations play in the background, and it's reprogramming your mind for you without you having to do anything. So the link for my free sleep tape is linked down below. But these are basically all the tools that I use on a regular basis that you can also use as well, not just for your health. If you want to manifest a whole new life for yourself, if you want to manifest a new relationship, a specific person, money, a car, a house, an apartment, a new job, whatever, you can use these techniques for all of those things. And what's the most important out of all these techniques is having a strict mental diet, which is basically a diet in which you're mentally filtering out any negative thoughts and beliefs. So let's say you have a routine in which you do subliminals in the morning, you have a meditation in the middle of the day, and then you have a sleep tape. But in between those techniques, you're constantly worrying, you're still thinking negative thoughts, you're still thinking against your favor, you're still thinking against what you're doing, then you're contradicting what you're doing. In between these techniques that you're doing, you have to remain as positive as possible and continuously remind yourself that you are healthy, that you are healed, and that your vagina is back to normal, and that it is in a good state. Because otherwise, if you're wavering or you're worrying in between these techniques, it can take longer to work, and it may not even work for you at all. Because you want to saturate your mind as much as possible with the new story in which you are healed. And it's hard to do that when your mental diet is not good. So, with that being said, I teach you all about how to do this in the 30-Day Vaj Reset ebook. It gives you a 30-day subconscious reprogramming routine to follow. And in my 5-week microbiome restoration course, there's a whole week that goes over subconscious reprogramming and how it works, and also how to incorporate it as well. So those 2 resources can be good for you. And when you do purchase the 30-Day Vaj Reset ebook or the course, if you want to ask me questions on a day-to-day basis or in a weekly life group coaching setting, you can join the Patreon and start a 7-day free trial with that to have my support on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis in the live group coaching calls. Otherwise, that's it for today's episode. I hope this helps you guys to form a new identity around your vagina. And all you have to do is just decide that I am healthy right now. I have a healthy vagina. And then from that decision, start acting in alignment with that by adhering to a routine to help remind you of that on a daily basis. And also I want to ask you guys, if you're in my Discord, I have a brand new free Discord in which I post my daily vaginal recipes in there. And I also have a Q&A channel in which I'll answer people's questions in there once a week in a podcast episode. Let me know if you guys want a manifestation channel in that Discord where we can do manifestation challenges for vaginal health. But otherwise, there are ways to work with me down below. So if you're interested, the link is below. But otherwise, definitely focus on your identity, adapt a mental mindset routine for yourself, and really focus on the mindset work more than anything, because you can actually heal your body alone without even without more so focus on other things. But with your mind alone, your body can heal naturally. So that's pretty much it. So I will see you guys all for the next episode. And yeah, bye everyone.